Hello and welcome to the 11th flight of the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 VR Cape to Cairo challenge in a little Cessna 152 with no GPS, no, using live maps and flying basically by using traditional methods of transportation and our eyes. In the last flight we did, the 10th flight, we took a bit of a risk. We flew all the way here from a small town all the way here to Windhoek. I wanted to get a little bit closer to the city actually. I considered if I should do a flyby there, but looking at the map and how far we still have to go, I think it's time to get on our way. So for today's flight, I had a quick look before. Sure, we can save this. I thought it would be nice to cross the border here into our next country, Botswana, which is right here. There's a little airport right here on the border. What I like about it is it follows this, I think it must be some sort of highway or big road. We also do have, it's not a very, it's a low range VOR, but it's a VOR nonetheless, that we can at least make sure at this point we didn't get the wrong road or anything, or followed, like, for example, that road at the very least. And then we're going to follow this. It seems to be called the B6 road. There are a few airports or airstrips along the way. It seems to rendezvous here with a train track, which would be a nice way to navigate as well. And then a little town here. That seems reasonable. A few airfields along the way, but we probably won't see those one. This one we should be able to see maybe, although if it's a large landing site, it might be a little small to see. And then this one, I don't know, it looks bigger. Interesting that's a airport so on the border. I'm not quite sure what the reason for that would be. But regardless, I think that should be a good plan. It's a bit of a longer one, I think. It's okay. Let's take off runway 08. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Then we're going that way, and we'll just do a right turn to find that road and get there. I'm going to add this one, Mamuno, sure. Misclicked. Select runway. Yeah, runway 5 should be good. If we see it from a distance, we can just go in. It seems to be asphalt. Okay, that's good. Then what I'll just do for my own sanity, I'll see. I'll add a point here as add this to flight plan so that we can at least what I want to do also, because I sometimes forget that the flight plan and the actual VOR isn't always aligned. I just want to make sure that from our VOR to, where is that point now? Yeah, to roughly about there. We do have distance measurement equipment here. It seems to be about 89 degrees magnetic. So we just need to follow this road, make sure we eventually hit at about 27 nautical miles. We should be on the 89 magnetic. Then we know we've done well. After that, it's going to be roads. I had a quick look. I don't see any other VORs nearby. The closest one is this one, where we eventually want to go to next, probably Maun, but that's also a short range one, so we won't be able to use that until we're basically very close already. Okay, 140 nautical miles here. It should take us just over an hour for that part, and then this part 27 miles, about 20 minutes I think. So yeah, let's get started. We're going from where is the airport code? I'm not seeing it. It's probably right in front of me, but I'm missing it for whatever reason. Maybe it's on that side. Foxtrot Yankee Whiskey Hotel. Am I really not seeing it? Or I don't know. It's the VOR over it. Foxtrot Yankee Whiskey Hotel to Foxtrot. I'm assuming that will be for Botswana. Mike uniform. Okay, let's get started. Let's go into VR. Get rid of that. Okay, so already basically forgot it all. Foxtrot Yankee Whiskey Hotel. Yeah, to, well, sorry, not runway. We're gonna start from this one, and then Foxtrot Bank. Was that the right one? I think it was. Sounds good. We're not gonna fly this late at night. We're gonna fly. It'll be nice to see the sun. We're gonna fly east. So let's start relatively early for this one. Runway this side. Not that one. This one. Runways. That was not smart. Let's flip that around. It doesn't have it. Okay, Foxtrot Yankee Whiskey Hotel. There we go. Accidentally set it as arrival and departure instead of arrival. So this one is departure. That one is arrival. Okay, as long as I make mistakes here and not in the game, or not when flying, it's better. Let's get all the mistakes out of our system. Let's get in the plane and set up our... Well, we only have one VOR to go on, but we're gonna definitely make some use of that. I'm a bit sad. I really wanted to see Windhoek, but it's fine. We are...
Ready for departure, east departure.
Let's get our map up. I think we're still going to see plenty of cities along the way. Africa is, after all, quite a big continent. Okay, let's just have a look. Sorry, I could have probably put that there. We want to see 114.5. Let's use the mouse. 114.5. Should pick that one up immediately. So we are right at the airport. And we want to eventually make sure for that one that we're going at 89 degrees away. 60, 80. Well, if that's east, then that has to be 89, right? Yes. So we're gonna fly basically away from this one. We're not gonna... We'll see how far this deviates from this road, but we could effectively immediately get on that radial, rather join the road. Maybe we can fly straight. I think we can fly straight, and then we'll know we'll hit this road at about, how did I measure it? 27 nautical miles. I should see the road. We will have DME. Let me turn that on so long. That's that instrument there that tells me how far away we are from it. Okay, let's go. I think not too much else that we can do right here. Let's put our map there. Let's take off into this beautiful sun. Let's go. airspeed coming alive, 60. I think we can work with that. Okay, so we are gonna take off. We're basically at about 80 degrees, right? And then we should see a road there on the right.
Tower Cessna 42, continue for east departure.
Don't think it's that one. We're just gonna try and align our VOR. Ignore the road for now. Yeah, that is saying from. That's good. Sorry, I turned way too steep, way too much. Looks like quite a nice airport. It is an international airport after all, so I think this road here with the railway, yeah, that looks like that could be a railway. Okay, I need to just get my bearing a little bit more. Okay, so the VOR line is to our left. Again, it'll move quickly because we're close to it. That means we need to bank a little bit left, make sure we catch it. So I think that's the road I was thinking of. I think there it is. So we could follow that road. Let's bring up the map. We could follow that road now. I think we cut this little corner, go a little straight, and use our VOR while we still have it, and hope that we get the road back. You know, in this case, if something ever goes wrong, at the worst case scenario, we fly back to this airport as long as we're still in VOR range. Yeah, okay, so one thing I also want to try this flight. A gracious commenter has let me know that it seems that the optimal RPM, I think, is between, is it 2,300 and 2,500 RPM? So there's our little RPM meter. We are basically at, I think, 2,400 RPM. So it'll be interesting to see. Let me just align here. That definitely looks like a railway. It'll be interesting to see if I can play a little bit with this mixture to just get my bearings straight. It's hard to have a look at all these things. So if we play with a bit... okay. I decreased the mixture ever so slightly, and it seemed to have gone to 25 or well, 25 RPM. Let's just say 25. Does that give us more power? That's a good question. I'm climbing a little now, so maybe if I'm at a level altitude and we can just move the mouse. If I'm at a if I'm level, we still seem to stick here. It's going a little bit faster. That's good. also caught our, or seemingly are very close to the VOR. A little bit of civilization. And it seems like this is some dried out river. Looks quite nice though. Sandbanks and stuff. Yeah, Namibia really has been very beautiful. But I'm very excited to hit another country in the list sooner than I actually thought. Well, let's get there first, but so far, you know, we're gonna go to our third country already. I'm not exactly sure how many countries I'll actually visit before we get to Cairo or Egypt, but you know, as many as we can, as many that make sense. We don't necessarily just want to go to a country to be there, but especially this area to the northeast of Botswana, there's a lot of countries there. There's one point where there's basically like 4 countries that come together at a single point. 4 or 5, I can't remember. But it's basically Botswana, and then there's a little piece of Namibia. Maybe I can show it on the map. That makes a panhandle. How well does this map show it? Yeah. Ooh, it doesn't show it very well. But there's a little, there we go. There's a little piece of Namibia that stretches all the way there. So we've got, at this point, let's get my bearings. We've got Namibia, we've got Botswana, we've got Zimbabwe, and we've got Zambia. So they're all coming together here, and it's quite close to the Victoria Falls, which is here, sorry. Close to, between Livingston and the town of Victoria Falls, which is where we ultimately are going to, and I'm very excited for that as well. Do subscribe if you want to join me for that. We'll definitely there do some flybys and not just try and get more distance on the clock. Okay, I'm just keeping an eye on that road. It's hard to tell. I guess I'll probably get a little bit more used to it. It's hard to tell when you look at a map like this. Where's our flight? Oops. You know, here where I'm basically going away from this road, it's hard for me to tell, like, how far is that road? But it's right there. It's not as far as I thought. Sometimes you look at a map and you think, oh, that's so close, and then it's super far. And in some cases you're like, whoa, look how far away from this road I'm going. But meanwhile, it's right there. Unless that isn't the road, but I think it is. Yeah, there's a river there that seems to be dried out. I think I see it there in the distance. See a little bit of a few peaks here as well, like small little outcrops of mountains. Let's put the map down a little bit. Here and there seems to be some nice peaks. I can't remember. I have been to Botswana, but now I can't remember. I think it was also fairly flat. I can't really remember much in the way of mountains. Okay, so we are 15 miles away, 14.3. As I said, that point where we should get back to the road is at about 27. Okay, let's try and see a little bit more. We're quite high. What is our RPMs looking like? Maybe our RPMs are too high. Could that be the case? I don't know. More RPMs, more power? Is that true? Things you don't want your pilot to say. It seems to go to the red. Wonder if we go all the way in. And we lose some RPM. Okay, so we definitely want, I think, to be I think I may need to read a book or watch a YouTube video on mixtures, especially in this plane, to know. Like, I know there's oil temperature and oil pressure there. Is that relevant? I can't really think what else. Let's just turn a little bit more to the left. Can't really think what else I can do. So I have access to the RPMs. I have access to our airspeed. I can also hear, like, you can hear when you change the mixture. There does seem to my ear at least, sound like it has more power, but I don't know. I really don't know. 20, 25. It's so strange because, and then suddenly there's a red line. Like, does that just mean, you know, usually you would think a red line is a little bit bigger, but I don't know. I think that's, you know, I've learned a lot about so far. I've learned about knots and nautical miles and their relationship. I've obviously learned a lot about VORs and how they work. I've yet to try that ADF. There are very, very few stations still left for that. I think if we try that, it'll be really cool to learn. But yeah, I think there's still obviously so much more. I think I'm very much a beginner in this. If you ever thought about doing this, definitely, you know, give it a go. It's a little bit harder than a more arcade flying game, as in you don't just have magical power where you can pull the plane up as much as you like, but the nice thing is if you crash, you can just go again. Speaking about crashing, someone asked me the other day, they've followed the series, and like, what are you going to do if you crash? And I was like, haven't really put too much thought into that, because I really, really, really don't want to crash. I want to at least treat this as, you know, realistically as makes sense. And I would hope so far, I mean, I've had that one takeoff that was a bit scary. The takeoff, I think it was episode 4, where I basically there was a very strong crosswind. I didn't know about it, foolishly took off and nearly got flipped over, or I almost stalled as well on the takeoff, so that was scary. But, you know, I would hope by now, I've obviously flown a little bit before the series, not much, not like an extreme amount, and I mean, I've flown a lot in the series. So far my landings and takeoffs have been pretty decent. What do you think? You're welcome to judge me. I'm making shorts where I try and summarize the landings and the takeoffs, and I obviously also put them in the description. Well, the description and the little bar at the bottom where you can, the slider. So You can always just skip to the landings if you find my ramblings a little bit boring, or don't just like to listen to the beautiful sound of an engine and watch the African deserts here in Namibia. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought maybe to up the stakes. You know what? Does it make sense to say, like, if I crash, the series is over and we failed? That definitely puts a lot more pressure on it. But I think, you know, I think we should cross that bridge when we get there. But if you have any ideas on that, what do you think we should do if we have a landing that's too hard, or for whatever reason I hit a mountain? What would the next plan be? Restart the flight? Those are basically the options. Restart the flight, or call it quits, say we lost, we died, it's over. I mean, that's... I think a crash... Oh yeah, I think in a small plane like this, I don't know. I don't know what the survival odds are in the real world. It's a bit grim, don't want to think too much about it, but it's probably like a hard landing. Sometimes the game, if you have a hard landing, it'll say, you know, you suffered catastrophic damage, which is fair enough, but it's not necessarily that you would have died. So hopefully we don't get any of those. This is a fairly easy plane to fly, and hopefully I'll keep having decent landings. Okay, we just to get back to some flight planning. We're reaching about 27 nautical miles where we cross back to our road. We do think this is it. I do think this is it. If I was really smart, I would have also used those mountains. Let me just make sure. Yeah, let's just get some headings of these roads, although I always forget to do this because I forget that, you know, you can't just look at that and guess the magnetic, what does that button do? Maybe that does it. I'm scared to press buttons because I don't want it to, you know, show my position on the map or anything. One of my rules. So yeah, we are flying about east. This angle here is 100 and no, that's the miles. 100 degrees magnetic. That road does seem to, yeah, I mean that's not the angle of the road. The angle of this road should still be about 90. From this point on, that looks good. So yeah, I think we are on our road now for the second part of this leg. This is where I should have maybe put in more distances for myself, but I always forget to do that. Okay, so landmarks. In a couple of miles, we're gonna, maybe not even that far. We're gonna cross a small, always confused, that's not a road, that's just a provincial line, I think. We're at about 30 miles, so we're probably close to that one, yeah. Yep, there, it makes bends that really learned to look for specific shapes in roads and try and reconcile them with my map. That's probably very obvious. It's not like some super skill, but yeah, we cross this road here. We fly on a fairly straight path, we should see what looks to be a river, but again, in this part of the world, a river could also just be a little stream or a dried up river. Anyway, on that point we see, I do think I see it there up ahead. Let's put our map down so we can get some more vision. I do also expect us to lose this VOR soon. We're basically, I don't think I put its range back up, but it's about 34 miles, so we should lose it in about a mile. Well, that's perfectly fine. And then here, yeah, we're gonna see on this road, just after the river, should be an airfield. We're just gonna wave there goodbye. Not gonna do any landings there. Okay. Also, it's going to be interesting once we get to Botswana. Oops, I'm going a little bit too much down. Once we get to Botswana and we get closer and closer here to the north, where I'm not sure what this river, I think it's the Zambezi River or whatever, but some of these rivers feed, I think, all the way up here north. It's a big catchment area, I think, and a lot of rivers come together here. So it's going to be interesting to go from this desert to, well, Botswana still also has a lot of desert, but then to a more lush green area. I think here also as well, I think people forget just how big of a tropical rainforest Africa has here in the middle. It's going to be, we'll probably, I'm not sure exactly if we'll go that far west, but a lot of interesting places left to see. For now, I shouldn't get too distracted. Sorry, I think that VOR might be 38 nautical miles, not 34. So we should lose it about now. There we go. Just lost it. That's a bit here. Is that an airfield? That doesn't look like an airfield, no. First of all, it's like on this mountain and it doesn't look very flat. And then secondly, the actual airfield should be right after the river and on the right of the road. So that's a weird shape. I wonder why. It does have that look and feel of an airfield. Maybe it's a private airfield, but I don't know. Okay. Could that be our little airfield just after the river? Probably. up here seems to be, well, a dried up river. So it's quite fun flying like this, you know, really. I think in modern days, if you want to just enjoy the scenery, GPS does take a lot of the panic away from that. But it's like I really need to focus on small things for this. But it's definitely a challenge and a rewarding one if you want to give it a go. If you Microsoft Flight Simulator is on Game Pass. I'm not sponsored or anything. So if you, it's like a subscription, like Netflix for games, and it's on there. So you can give it a go. It is quite big and it needs a decent PC, but if you already have that, it's quite fun. And you can play it multiplayer as well. I've yet to see any other players or planes, but when we do, it's going to be very exciting because that'll be an actual person flying that plane, a real player, because I turned off all the AI players, so it should just be real humans. I didn't quite see this airfield that is supposedly here. Not sure if I've gone far enough or if I may have missed it. But I didn't quite see. Did I miss it? Or is it still on its way? Here's where the road bends. I just remind myself of that one landing we made where it was basically just the hint of a runway if you had to squint to see it. That's why on trips like this I try to choose as big of a runway, at least how it's indicated on the map. I don't think it's always going to be like that. I think that one we landed on was one of the big ones, but it really didn't look like a runway. I even went to go look on Google Maps, and it was very hard to discern where the runway was. Oh, Google Earth, I mean. Okay. Is this road? Could this perhaps be? Sorry, no, I'm way too far. Not exactly sure what that road could be. Alright, so the river is still... why does it do this? River is still there on the way, on our right, and where does it eventually go? It does seem to meander and go back to very close to the road. Seems to be the case. I'm assuming that's going to be that little town there in front. And then here... Okay. Did the... Ah, yes. Okay, so we did cross this point. That's probably what I should have looked at. There is a railway here that did not join with our road, or it's next to the road for a bit, and it's going to split a bit here in this little town. Okay. I saw a very heartwarming post on Reddit last night about someone that isn't very, well, she called herself a bit of a beginner with gaming and those things, but she wants to, I think for her father, build or like buy a PC and a VR headset and all the gear, because he is, I think, about 80 years old. He medically can't fly anymore, but he still really wants to, and she's trying to figure out what she needs to make that happen. And I just thought it's such a good idea, like to give someone this experience again. If you can't physically fly anymore, but you still want to experience this, I think. Unfortunately, I told her she chose an expensive hobby, especially to get into it. If you already have the PC and maybe had the VR headset, sure, but if you want to get everything at once, I think it's going to add up very quickly. And I mean, to get that experience would just... If someone was a pilot their entire life, and then usually pilots are in it for passion and a passion for aviation, so for them to relive that, it really was a heartwarming story. I made a very long, like all the steps I would recommend. It's hard because it's so much. So especially it's hard to gauge what someone's level of proficiency is. And I know, like, gaming shops can sometimes take advantage of people that don't really know much about games or gaming and hardware. But what makes Flight Simulator so hard is that basically you just want the strongest possible PC, especially if you're doing VR. So yeah, hopefully, okay, I'll try and follow up on that thread, and I also told her, like, she's welcome to message me if she wants to. Maybe I'll send her this video and show to her at least what I have. Maybe I'll be even happy to directly message and maybe even do a Discord call or something to talk through all the details, because I have gone to it in detail in the previous video, but unfortunately, okay, I need to follow this road. Unfortunately, getting all of this set up is not as simple as it should be. I mean, it's way better than, well, better in one way. When I started with or paying attention to VR, you still needed, and you still for some of them do, those lighthouse trackers that you need to put all over your room, and a bunch of cables and boxes and things. So at least that part is a little bit simpler, but to get it to run smoothly, to get everything set up, there's still a lot of admin. So, but I think, if you're also in this boat wanting to get started with this, reach out to me, or well, leave a comment saying what you want to do, and I'll try and guide you as well. I can't guide too much on yokes and those things because I don't have a yoke. I just use a joystick. I really want one. I've followed a lot of basically watched every single review on every single one of them. I think when the time is right, that's probably going to be my next upgrade. It's just hard because I'm torn between upgrading graphics card, getting smoother, more textures. Like you can see, it's good, but it's not great. But also, I can actually have a look. I don't really want to do this, it's scary, but I don't have any visual indicators for me about what my current frames per second is, but it should be between 30 and 40 if I were to guess, which for normal VR games is not a lot. It's actually not nearly enough, especially if you're walking around. But because the ground is so far and it moves so slowly, it's still fine. But if I'm in the cockpit here, I quickly move my head. In the video it should be fine, or it should be decent, because the video only records at 30 frames a second, and that's roughly what we are. But when you're in VR, 30 frames a second is not enough for that fast movement. It can make you a little queasy, and it just feels a little, the real world doesn't lag like that. When you move your head, it's smooth. So I'm in two minds. I think a yoke, the thing with the yoke is they usually don't come with throttles. They sometimes come with throttles. They don't come with rudder pedals, which I've gone through before. Are those I'm not an expert, but I think basically all planes are controlled like that. And what that allows you to do is have a free hand available. So right now, if you want to, usually when you're landing or taking off, you'll have one hand here on the throttle. In my case, it's a little, I'm not really sure what you would call it, like a little wing almost, that I can move forward and back on the joystick, and then the joystick itself I'll quickly do it again. I can very slightly move the rudder. What's nice about having rudder pedals, I think, is your hands are free to just control, the pitch and the, these actions, and your feet are free to control them, while you can press buttons, click the flap lever, and have a free hand. So I'm in two minds. Obviously, the ideal would be all of them, as in a good controls, and then eventually a better graphics card. I promised myself I would wait until nVidia releases the 50 series just to see what the upgrades are and what that does, maybe even to the 40 series prices. So for now, this is still absolutely amazing, and I think it's so good that you get a little bit used to it. It's like, yeah, of course I'm here in this cockpit in this plane flying, no biggie. But I remember, the experience. I showed this once to a friend, and he was one of those lucky few that doesn't get any motion sickness in VR. His jaw was solidly on the ground during the entire flight. was really I like. I need to focus just a little bit here. So I talked a lot now, but I cut this corner a little bit there. Basically cut that corner. We should be on this fairly long straight here, and then we should see a town here. Here it can get tricky because there does seem to be a few roads in this town. Let's try and at least get some headings. We want to go on roads that goes into a northeasterly direction at the very least. This town name reminded me of a character from Arrested Development called well, his name is Tobias, but they started a coffee company called Go Buy Us, which is like go buy us a cup of coffee. It was utterly stupid, but it's an amazing show, one of my favorites. This town is going to be, I think once we've cleared this town, it should be, but am I even on the right road? Yeah. As soon as we clear this town and we're confident that we're back on this big road, should be fairly smooth flying ahead. I'm imagining that I'm feeling a little bit of wind. I'm not sure if that is the case, or if it's just my imagination. Let's try and see here with the mixture again. Oh. That low. It does feel very sensitive. Like I said, I still don't really understand it. Like, I understand the concept of it, but I don't know what is a good way of getting that balance. I think a tutorial video is probably up my alley to watch, not to make, because that's definitely something I'll need to improve, especially, you know, when we're going to fly past Kilimanjaro. Like I said, it's too high to fly over, but we definitely want to fly close to it, and even flying close to it will probably be very high. So at that point I'll hopefully have mastered a little bit more of my mixture management. If you have any tips or know of a good explainer or tutorial, please let me know. Is this a runway? Let's have a look. This does look like a runway, right? Could it be that one? I only see one runway. But we're not there. Hold on. Yeah, no, we should be... Interesting. a bit scary that I see a big runway here, but it doesn't seem to line up with where I expect it to be. We still see our two-way, like, road and railway. I wonder if they're gonna model cars, or maybe there are cars in this, but my settings are just too low. But it will be quite cool to have like cars and a little bit more life on the ground, and maybe like a train, because it'll be nice if you were flying like this in VFR and you can confirm by seeing a train that you are going in the right direction. Okay, I see some water there in front. Could it be that there's a little dam there? Does look like it. So we're gonna... the road will sharply curve to the right. And then we need to not carry on, but take this left bend here. It seems basically where the railway ends. It's probably a big station there. Let's have a look. That's also the thing you really start to appreciate is, like, in a car, in most cases you can stop and you can just go look at a map. When you're flying, you're flying. Like, you're still moving. You can fly a little bit slower, but if you take a few moments to, like here now, where I need to make sure I go on the right road. If I go the wrong way or whatever, and the next moment I look back, I need to be able to reorient myself. Need to then find out where am I at that point, because I might be somewhere there far from the city. So yeah, it's a lot different than in a car or something like a ground-based vehicle. Okay, what happens here? The railway splits. Yep. The railway goes there, and then effectively the road that's parallel to the railway there at the end is the one we are interested in. The railway will go behind this body of water. Does it? Is that the railway? Or is that... Sharp end for a railway. Okay, there's the first little off bend that side, which should rejoin there, and then this more the second one. The road coming in from that side. I'm gonna guess it's this one. That does look like a train track, train station. Is it? Probably. This big road. Then it makes a bit of a left-hand turn. We should be going east. Yes, we are going east. That's good. And we should go about northwest. Okay. Seems like that worked. Wonder what if this is a mining town or why it's what is its claim to fame? No idea. Okay, we're getting out of the town. We seem to also get close to where we're going into a different airspace. So we should hear the air traffic controller also speak to us in a while. Not sure if we're probably going to Botswana's airspace now already. Or maybe not. Okay, if that map loads, there we go. The Trans-Kalahari Corridor is this road's name. Still quite the distance to go. Okay, I think we navigated that decently. It was a bit touch and go there. It's the one thing I'm not always sure, like with some things like the railways, you know, the game or simulator tries its best to estimate, I think, what something is and how it should look, but sometimes it gets it a little bit wrong, and then I don't want to make a navigational mistake because a road was a railway or a railway looked like a road. I guess that could look like you could make that mistake in the real world as well. I'm a little bit low. That's fine. I'll ever so slightly try and get a little bit more altitude, but not so much that we lose too much airspeed. I thought the other day really did go all in with this challenge. Like, why couldn't I just have made it across Europe or a smaller place? Unfortunately, Africa is enormous, and it's gonna be a bit of a, in some cases like this, you know, where it's just a fairly long straight flight, it's going to be a bit of a grind. But I think that's, you know, that's what makes this different. It's not just the highlights, it's the entire flight in real time. It'll be cool to at the end make like a montage or something about it. I actually didn't research at all if someone else have done something similar on YouTube. Like, I know people do fly real-time long-distance flights, as in they'll fly commercial jets with GPS and, well, obviously GPS, but with autopilot and those things, and literally like go make food and then come back, double check, all those things, and that's fine. It's really, really cool. But I'll be interested to know if someone has done this like small plane general aviation, especially the non-GPS part. Because if I used a GPS, the only real challenge would have been landing and takeoff. But now it's distances, it's bearings, it's so many small things that you also have to do, which as I said is really fun. And I'll be very interested if someone has done something similar, and if this series is if you enjoy it, and if you want to see something else, maybe like fly from the west coast of the US to the east coast, where there'll probably be more recognizable places because of, you know, Hollywood and the movies, and everyone knows Las Vegas. And I think obviously Microsoft being a US based company, a lot of the world updates they've given, like special treatment to cities, have been in the US, which makes sense. So that's probably an interesting idea as well. I do think Africa from south to north is still way bigger than the US from east to west, or west to east, doesn't matter. Okay, seeing the road making a bit of a sharp curve there in the front. Yeah, that matches. We can probably cut through here. I see the entire road there. We know that's our road. We can probably just go straight. We don't have to, you know, fly exactly over the road. That's good. Let's have a look what our next airport will be. Again, this seems to be some bush lodge. Probably not a big, too big airfield. Probably what they'll use for guests on safari or whatever. I'm also interested is, like, I still have decent amounts of fuel. I always seem to, the left hand tank goes a little bit, goes a little bit faster than the right. I'm always wondering, is it something I'm doing? Like how this plane works, because it has a, I'm not sure if they call it an overwing or an underwing. I probably get that confused, but the wings are, in some planes the wings are above you, like here, and then some planes they'll be like almost below you, so what's nice about this is you can look out and you're not looking onto the wing. That's quite nice. But the fuel tanks are inside the wings, and to my knowledge, what these ones do, because it's above the thing, they don't actually have a pump, so it just feeds by gravity down into the engine. But like now I'm wondering, is it just a quirk of this plane? Am I flying it a little bit too tilted to the one side and the other? That the one is... oh, look at that. It might just be the sensor then. That's really cool. Okay. Interesting. Haha. Oops. Okay. So that's more a function of the current position as well. But that's really cool. Those needles actually deviate based off of the current movement. Almost like I would guess if you park your car on a hill, like at a steep angle, it'll tell you suddenly, oh, your fuel's, depending on which way it is or how the thing works, might tell you your fuel's very low, and then you'll level out and you're like, oh no, it's still decent, or the other way around. Guessing that's probably similar. It's just the fuel rocking about. That being said, we are at about quarter tank. I think we're still plenty good. I think these planes actually have quite a long range, especially if you're flying with one person and no baggage. That's probably something in realism terms, I think in Flight Simulator you can set up your weights, and both your weight, both the fuel obviously, and then the weight of maybe a passenger, as well as luggage, I think, or whatever they call it. Thinking back on it now, like if I were to do this in the real world, I probably would have some luggage, some clothes and some equipment and stuff. So maybe we'll consider that. Let me know if you think that'll add to the realism. All it will really do is probably, make the fuel burn a little bit faster, maybe make us a little bit slower, which we're already not the fastest. Okay, it's just, I need to remind myself to do this every now and then, otherwise I'll forget. We're on this long straight here, and then it's gonna curve a little bit to the left, and then a little bit to the right, and then we can maybe see that airfield perpendicular to the road. Okay, that's good. There are cases like this when I clearly see where I want to go, where I am sad that I'm not in a faster, even a twin jet, or not twin jet, twin prop or something that's just got a little bit of more speed. But this is what we've chosen. Maybe if I do one across the US, I might do it. I think a nice plane in here, my friend always loves it. It's called the Daher. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's still a prop plane, but it can go quite fast, and it's quite nice. Maybe for a little bit more speed, we'll use that. But not on this trip though. On this trip, we're sticking with the Cessna 152. I'm curious also to know if you may have seen my call sign or number or whatever you call it here. I chose this number with a specific reason. I'll be curious to know if anyone in the comments knows what the relevance is. It's a special number. If you know, you know. I'll be really interested to know if someone knows why they think I chose that number. I'll give you a small hint. It has to do with a book series that was also made into a movie, and I think it was also... Actually, I think it might have been a radio series as well, long ago in the UK. But did that throw you off? Okay. Also, I haven't really had to use it, I think. Oh, come on, this map. Sometimes, I don't know why they chose to do it like this. But there is a little thermometer there outside as well, which is quite cool. It'll be interesting to see, you know, when we fly close to Kilimanjaro, what the de-icing options are going to be. I know we have a little pitot heat tube thing here that will heat up that tube for us so that that doesn't freeze. I don't think we have any like other options. But yeah, speaking of lights, my taxi lights should probably not be on while I'm flying, right? Beacon lights? Again, things you don't want your pilot to say. Should my beacon light be on while I'm flying? I don't know. That's probably a very basic one, and everyone is probably screaming right now. Is that what you use when you're like taxiing also? I don't know. So the planes can see you from above, because I don't know. That'll come with research over the years, and if I obviously ever do a private pilot license, I'll definitely study all those. But for now, we just go with the flow. I'll probably get called at every airport that I land to call the number of the ATC of that probably is some pilot deviation or something. But we'll just ignore that for now and use the lights, or we'll basically not care too much about them. We are flying at daytime and the important lights are on, so it's fine. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how cold it gets. Like even here, it's about 10 degrees Celsius, I think. I'm not very high, but obviously as soon as, well, I'm 7,000 feet. I think this area is also quite high above sea level itself. So it is generally, as you go higher, it gets colder. I think Kilimanjaro is about 19,000 feet, the peak, and this plane can go to about 12,000, I think. So we'll be high. Okay, we're seeing a sharp bend to the left. I'm seeing a gravel road carry on there. But it's not on the map. But we do see those side roads. That's good. Can probably cut a little bit of this corner, then we'll fly almost like that. Maybe see the airfield. But the road does seem to go, so I don't want to go too far away from this road. So we'll cut it not a lot. Actually, hey, we're almost there. Good to know. Yeah, very good. Basically just this last stretch we're gonna, I think it's fun to look out for these lodges and these small airfields. We'll see if we can see it. Then basically we'll just carry on with the big road. We should see some more civilization. This is a big border crossing. Again, I don't know why they would put an airport. Okay, there's a big town here. Oh, there's quite a big town. Okay, it just feels so strange putting an airport basically on your border. Like, people are always going to take off and cross the border. I'm not sure if that's how that works. With, you know, visas and passports and those things. I'm not sure how the airspaces in general work, to be fair, so luckily we won't be shot down or arrested in flight sim. They gave us permission. Just keep an eye out for a runway that should be, okay, it's after this big bend, after it straightens out again, should be on the right and should be perpendicular. I'm actually going to be driving tomorrow in the real world for about 5 hours, so this is a bit of a warm up to that. Gonna take my PC and all the equipment with, see if we're gonna go away for a week. I'm gonna be working from there during the days. Maybe at night I can sneak in a short flight here and there. You know, for the fans. I don't wanna keep you guys waiting for an entire week for the next video. And I think I want to keep this momentum. I'm scared if I take a break that I'll lose momentum. Okay, I also don't see that airfield. As I said, it is at a little bit at a lodge. Could that be a lodge? Let's just see. Seems to be fairly close to the road. We don't really care, we're not landing here, but it's always good to, if you see an airfield, I don't know if this is a real rule, but for me, if I were flying a real plane, I would always want to know where my closest airfield is. In case of emergency. What is that? Maybe a bit of a open area here. Not quite seeing a airfield or anything. Okay. Yeah, I know I go on about it every time, but like the fact that they were able to model the entire world and all these airports, like a random airport here in the middle of, well, not the middle, at the edge of the border between Namibia and Botswana in Africa, in the middle of a desert. Like, yep, I know, I lost it. It's really, really cool. I think like Flight Simulator before this, they had like parts of maps and things. I don't know exactly how they did it, but you could still fly in big cities and maybe in like big routes and stuff, or they just sort of modeled it as, you know, the ground and not really care what's on the ground. But this, where they use, you know, satellite imagery and maybe not just satellites, but, you know, aerial photography, which is ironic because it's a flight simulator, to build the representation. Really, really is awesome. Okay, our road seems to curve a little bit up there. Still tracks, so we're fine. There's another bit of a river that seems to either start here or end here. I don't know, that's weird. Why does this river just stop? Okay. Maybe it was a river very long ago. If we don't see this airport, we're going to be in a bit of trouble. If it's a similar case as that one a couple of episodes ago, but no, I'm a little bit more. It's closer to some, you know, civilization. That other one was, to be fair, in the middle of nowhere. I see some power lines down there. Okay. I think we're getting very close. Oops, and let's just start with our planning and what to expect. So we're gonna cross over this border post if we see it. We will then, hopefully before we see the big town, we should see the runway on our left. The runway heading we're aiming for is runway 05, which is about in that direction. So yeah, let's get that prepped in our minds at least. Okay. Gonna ever so slightly reduce my altitude that'll also make me a little faster now, but that's fine. Just so that we can observe a little bit better. Some cases getting higher makes you see better, but you know, when you want to follow roads and buildings and things, it's nice to be a little bit closer. Okay, let's just double check. Seeing a bunch of buildings there on the left, and maybe that's a town there on the right. So if that is our border crossing building, we should see it just behind that basically. Okay, yeah, this does look. I see that little road there seems to be that road there. So just after that, we should see the runway. Just behind that, I mean. Okay, I think I see it. I think it's right there. I'm gonna go in as if I'm landing. I'll always be able to. Oops. Oh, that is really annoying. Okay. Keep the mixture full. Probably a little bit too close. We're aiming for runway 05. Yeah, there is a little town, there is the runway. I'm definitely gonna, although I think that I should be fine. I think I'll be fine. This is a long runway. Let's put up our flaps. No. They're definitely gonna abort this one. We're just trying to get some airspeed. It's fine. Nose down. Still have some altitude. Ever so slightly bring it back up. Yeah. Thought about doing it. Then I told myself, you know what, I wouldn't have done that if that was in the real world.
feet inbound to land runway 05.
So that was too risky. I probably could have made it, but you know why? In aviation, you don't take 50-50s. If I were just flying as a quick, like in the game, as a quick flight, sure, that would have been fine. But not when we're trying to do it in a realistic way. I do really feel that the wind is a little bit of an issue. Quite cool seeing my shadow there. So we're just gonna quickly go around. We're gonna fly a little bit further out. I think I was too close when I started my turn. So I know we're aiming for runway 05. So I can turn until that bottom little notch shows 50 degrees, because then I know I'm flying it exactly 180 degrees away. I'm just trying to get some distance away from it. Like I said, in most of my landings, like right in that one as well, I'm usually too high because you're scared to be low. I think in that one I was definitely, coming in way too. I would have basically. You don't want to aim at the runway. Like you want to meet the runway. So that would have, I think, in a small plane like this, probably been a hard landing. But I probably could have. You can maybe even save it because you're going so slowly, but we don't take those risks. I think I made a big mistake where I decided to go around and then decided against it. I think if you've committed to going around, you need to go around. That's okay. I wonder if it's the pressure of me telling myself if I crash it's over, even though it's not really a rule. Don't know what I'll do yet, but just the thought of that is already probably playing in the back of my mind. Okay, should be far enough. We're gonna turn this all the way around just gently. Now we're aiming for that 5 degree. I did, by the way, pull my flaps back up. I started when I was level and accelerated. Okay. There are technically terms for all of these, like base leg and final leg and all those things. I have not yet mastered the exact procedures and names and things. I roughly just fly by ear a little bit. As I said, hopefully these aren't the bad. Let's see, I'm still a little bit high, but at least now I'm far enough that I can correct that. Whereas the last time I was basically, I didn't realize it was so close. So we could have gone and landed in the middle of the runway. Let's just bring up our flaps. Now there's definitely a crosswind here as well. Flaps all the way extended. Okay. It's quite scary, these trees right in front of the runway. You don't wanna be short here. Okay, bringing down the throttle, runway 05. Try and so that was a bit. Wow. Am I just imagining that there's a crosswind? Wow, bad landing, I think. I'm pulling the rudder to the right. It just... Is that windsock broken? Or is that just me? Okay. Not my best landing. I wanted to float a little bit further. But okay, we survived. Felt... definitely felt an maybe I just imagined it, but felt a little bit of wind there. Let's just stop right here. Okay, wow, almost had a botch landing initially. Decided to go around, and then almost, well, didn't have the best landing either. But that's fine. Okay, guess I'm not quite far off the runway that it stops it, but let's have a quick review. See, how the flight plan went. Whoops. Let's just have a quick look here. We should be in Botswana if all went well. Yep, right where we wanted. Exactly like we wanted. Great. So we were able to, in some cases, probably here, looking back on it now, I probably could have just gone straight past. I was just a little bit scared that I would see that road, and maybe I wouldn't have. But it's okay, it worked out. And then here we came in here, lined up, and I think we were just too close. We went around, came back. Probably okay. So this is the approach point. I think the game or the software wants you to take, like, get at least at this point. I probably could have extended a little bit further, and then came in. But yeah, let's just see where exactly we are. Yeah, see. So I think we're probably still a little bit too close to the runway. Probably could have turned around and gone to the parking space, but well, I think that was a lovely flight. We're in the country of Botswana, and we are probably in the next flight go to this one, and then eventually go up to Maun, to the Okavango Delta. Yeah, thank you very much. If you have any ideas or suggestions, throw them in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.